Hey everyone, welcome back to my channel. My name's Tamika. This is Library of Tomes, where I talk to you about all the bookish things going on in my life. Today we're going to be talking about my wrap up and all the things that I read in the month of February. We just want to go ahead and be blunt with you. February is one of my best reading months I've had in literally forever. I read so many amazing books. I read only romance this month, and I read 10 books, which is much more than I read last month, and honestly, I'm stoked. I have not been doing as much writing. I am a little bit behind on what I need to be doing, but I'm catching up. I'm getting my life together. Everything's going good. I'm gonna be revealing my pen name, and I have been kind of nervous about doing this, and I've also been kind of not nervous because I've been wanting to do it for a while, but okay, it's time. I'm gonna tell you all now. I was gonna have a whole reveal. I was gonna do a whole thing, but I have kind of shifted my focus and shifted how I'm gonna be doing things. So I'm gonna go ahead and just tell you my pen name because my next book's not gonna be out for a little while, and I want to just go ahead and let you all know. So my pen name is Stella Ferris. I absolutely love my pen name. I know that it's really weird and nothing like my real name, which is kind of exactly what I was going for. So I'm just really excited to be talking about my pen name and to share that with you all. So I'll go ahead and tell you, I did write one book and I released it last November. It was called His Secret Santa. I do have that out. It is available on Amazon. I know y'all probably don't want to read that right now because it's like February, but I did write a book. It is already out, and I'm now working on my next book, which will be my debut novel. So that's all I'm going to share on that. I will share more as we get closer to the time where I'm going to be releasing and sending out to beta readers and all of that stuff. So anyway, on to all the books that I read in February, because I read so many amazing books in February. Like, I literally don't know what the heck happened in February because it was such an amazing reading month, and I'm just so like on top of the world and excited because I've not had a reading month this good and I don't know how long. So I read 10 books. All of them were romance books. Here, get this, I had like 3 5-star reads in the month. So we're gonna go just from how I read them in order. So we'll just go ahead and start with Desperate Measures by Kate Roberts. I read this at the beginning of the month and I rated this a 4 out of 5 stars. It is a Jasmine and Jafar retelling. It is a dark romance, and it does have consensual and non-consensual scenes in this, so dubious consent, and it also has daddy kink. So those are things that don't spark your interest. I wouldn't pick this up. It is very, very dark, and it does rely heavily on those dark themes, on those taboo themes, and it is one of my favorite types of books to read. 20 out of 10, recommend that. It's really good, especially if you like the dark and taboo story and the plot. So the writing was really, really good. I really love the plot and the writing and the characters. I love the way the characters interacted with each other. And I just really enjoyed seeing the other characters get brought in, and I can see how their stories are gonna play out in the later books. I am meeting Kate Roberts at a Polycon. I keep saying her name is Kate Roberts. I think her name is just Kate Robert, and I'm so excited to meet her and to have her sign the books because I ordered all of them that's in this trilogy. I'm so excited. I'm over the moon. The next book that I read was Temporary Wife Temptation by J.C. Lee. This was my first dive into the Harlequin romance section. I got the Harlequin Desire line, and let me just tell y'all, I'm obsessed, okay? So I know that a lot of people talk bad about Harlequin romances and the mall romances and the Walmart, like grocery store, Target romance section, but I am in love with these books. I absolutely adored this story. It's a marriage of convenience. Garrett needs a wife, and you know, he needs it because his grandma's trying to arrange him a marriage, and then Natalie, who is our main girl, she needs a husband so that she can kind of get custody of her sister, of her niece, so her sister's daughter. And I love this. I just fell in love with it. I just zoomed right through it. I fell in love with the characters. I fell in love with the story and the romance, and I just thought it was fun and fast, and I just really enjoyed it. I had a really good time reading this. It was one of my most anticipated releases of the year, and I'm really happy that I read it. The next book that I read was Hate Notes by V. Keelan and Penelope Ward. I originally read this because I thought Penelope Ward was going to be at a Polycon. I think she dropped off of the author attendee list, so I read that for that reason, but also because Shelby from Shelby Taggart Reads recommends this all the time, and she loves this book, so I went ahead and just picked it up and listened to it on audio. It was my first audiobook of the year, actually, and I'm really excited to be listening to audiobooks again because I do so many things where I need to listen to audiobooks and I just don't. So I'm really happy. I'm really excited to be listening to audiobooks again. I loved this book. I gave it 5 out of 5 stars. It is a hate to love office romance between these two characters. This girl buys a wedding dress from a thrift shop, and she has just broken off with her fiance. They were engaged. She's selling her dress, and she finds this beautiful feather dress in the thrift shop with this blue note on the inside, and she somehow tracks down this guy who wrote that note and gets a showing of one of his apartments, and then ends up becoming one of his employees. So it's a really fun hate to love romance, and he starts leaving her these little blue hate notes all over the office, and it's super cute, and I loved it. It is so good. The romance in this is just to die for. It's so will they, won't they, and I just absolutely loved the way these characters interacted with each other, and the way that the characters, you know, complimented each other, and the way that they would push each other's buttons and really have this like angsty dislike hate to love romance, and I just loved it. It's one of my favorite tropes in the whole world, so I'm really happy that I read it. And let me be honest, Shelby did not disappoint with this one. This was a 5-star read for the month, and I loved it. I absolutely loved it. The next book that I read this month was Love Her or Lose Her by Tessa Bailey. I want to go ahead and say that I love Tessa Bailey, and this is another one of my most anticipated releases of 2020. This follows Rosie and Dominic, and they have a second chance romance. Their marriage is like falling apart, and he has to prove to her that he wants to be with her and that their marriage can work, and it ends up being a second chance romance for them both, and they both kind of come to terms with the things that have been going wrong in their marriage, and it's not just one or the other. They have like a scheduled night every night where they end up having sex. So every like Tuesday, I think it is, they end up having sex, and they that's their time that they're together. They don't really have a time to do anything else, like watch movies or just sit and talk or do anything. So I really enjoyed these two characters, and getting to see Travis and Georgie again. I absolutely love Travis and Georgie. They are two of my favorites, and I really enjoy getting to see this other story with these other characters. I will say that Rosie and Dominic were not my favorite. I am very excited though to see the next couple, which is Bethany and some dude I can't remember the name of. He was introduced in this book. I just can't remember his name off the top of my head. But I'm very excited because theirs is going to be an enemies to lovers romance, and I'm just ready. Like, I'm just ready. So the next book that I read in February was Anyone But Her by Erica Lee. This was a female romance centered around a girl who goes home with her best friend for his family reunion. Her best friend is gay. She's a lesbian, and she falls for his sister, and it was adorable. I loved this. I found their relationship so precious and adorable and relatable, and I just honestly loved it. I need every female recommendation from here until the end of time. I absolutely just loved watching these two girls fall in love and, you know, get around all of the hardships with being together and just having this sweet, soft relationship. And it wasn't all sunshine and rainbows and butterflies because, you know, so the girl's friend Jamie and Charlie, who is the brother sister, are both twins, and they're both in the closet, and they come from a family where that is absolutely not acceptable. So there's so many hard things that they go through, but it is just so cute and precious and heartwarming to watch their journey to be together. And I read this in like a sitting and a half. I couldn't put it down, and I gave it 5 stars. And I'm going to read the rest of this author's backlist because I absolutely adored it. So the next book that I read this month was The Stopover by T.L. Swan. This was a romance between a girl and a guy. It's another office romance, and the girl went to school for journalism. This is a very large media empire that she's working for. This is like the paper slash media industry she wanted to work for since she got into college, since she graduated. Like, she's been trying years to get this job. So she hooks up with a guy on a plane, and turns out that's her boss. She hooks up with this guy a year before, and then a year later she goes into his office. He still has feelings for her. He still wants to, like, you know, be with her, but he doesn't want to like be with her. So it's their romance, it's their relationship. And there is a fun subplot where someone is stealing all the stories from that paper and publishing them in another paper, and they start getting her to write fake stories and letting the other industry, like the other paper who is stealing their stories, publish them. And it's actually really funny. Like, I thought that I would be like all up in arms about it because, you know, as a journalist, I think it's like wrong to write fake news, but at the same time, like, if you're doing it to like figure out who's stealing your stories and to let another paper steal fake stories from you, I mean, I'll let it slide. I mean, that was just, it was funny. It was a fun plot. I doubt that ever happened in real life, but I was able to suspend my disbelief on that one, and I really enjoyed it. I gave it 4.5 stars. I did only give it a 4.5 because I did feel like there were a couple things that were just kind of not resolved by the end of it, and I felt like I wanted a little bit more with finishing up those areas of the story. But I really liked it. So the next thing that I read was another audiobook, and this was Defy by L.J. Shen. It was a novella in the Sinners of Saint series, and I know the first book in the series is Vicious. I went ahead and just read the novella. It was about the teacher whose name I've already forgotten and the student's name who I've already forgotten, and their romantic relationship. He is 18, she is a teacher. It was weird. I did not really love it. I like student teacher, but for some reason I only like it. I only like student teacher if it is like college level student teacher. So I'm not into your 18-year-old, fresh 18-year-old babies in high school and their teachers they've known since they were freshmen in college or freshmen in high school. I'm not into that. That is weird. But I wanted to read it. It's pretty taboo. I usually don't mind those relationships, and it was okay. I mean, I enjoyed the side characters, and I enjoyed, you know, I enjoyed it as much as I could. It was a fun time, but overall, I wouldn't read it again. This will not be one from L.J. Shen that I will get signed at her signing whenever I see her at a Polycon. I mean, it was fine, you know? Like, I didn't love it. I think that I would definitely enjoy Vicious. I really like his character, but, you know, just this one just wasn't it for me. It was too much smut and not enough, like, actual development, so I couldn't really fall for the characters the way they fell for each other, you know? So, I give this one 3 out of 5 stars. It was, you know, it was fun. So then I read 2 books from Skye Warren. I read these, it's called the Strip series. I read Better When It Hurts and Love the Way You Lie. These follow 2 girls who are strippers. This is the first book in the Strip series. This follows a girl who is on the run, and she has a guy come in and kind of, he doesn't attach himself to her, but he becomes kind of attached to her at the club. He wants her to perform extra services. She's like, no homie. She thinks he's a cop, and he just has this weird vibe around him. And she ends up having a romance with him because her strip club owner dude is like, yo, don't be around him. Like, no, I'm forbidding it. And she's like, probably not. And she ends up having a romance with him. It is such a fun, twisty, interesting, sweet romance. Well, not sweet. It's pretty dark and just a really gritty romance, and there's a lot going on. She's running from someone. There is so many extra layers in there. I really loved this. I give it 4 out of 5 stars. The second book, however, I didn't like as much. I only gave it 3 out of 5 stars. That one is Better When It Hurts. This one follows a girl who, I can't remember their names. I've already forgotten them. This follows a girl who is, was in the foster care system. It's a second chance romance because she is falling for a guy that they had previously had a relationship and she betrayed him. So we're following their romance. And like I said, these are dark romances. She's still a stripper. He is a bouncer in the club that she works at. And he's got like the hots for her and you just know it. So yeah, this one I didn't really like as much. I gave this one 3 stars. It was fine. So like I said, I enjoyed this one, but it wasn't my favorite. I gave it 3 out of 5 stars. I probably would continue with the series after Polycon's over. She is a Polycon author, so we're starting to get into my Polycon reading. So yeah, I would definitely give this author another shot. I just wanted to listen to her on Audible Escape because I resubscribed to that. And I'm trying to get through all my books, and they were free on Audible Escape, and they weren't in Kindle Unlimited, so I just went ahead and checked them out. The last book that I read was called Lost in Me by Lexi Bryan. This is the first book in a 3-part series. It's about a girl who, her name is Meredith. I think her name's Meredith, but she loses her memory and she has an amnesia because she had head injury, and her memories are slowly coming back to her. And she wakes up and she has like a whole year's worth of memories gone. It's so addicting. And I don't want to tell you anything else because that's what I went in knowing, and it was so much fun. I haven't settled on a rating for this one just because like I really liked it, but I need to put it through my spreadsheet and do my little calculation on what my rating would be for this. But like I said, I really enjoyed it. On enjoyment alone, it's a 5-star. Like no joke, on enjoyment alone, it's a 5-star. I need to put it through my system though, just to like double check what I think it would be, like based on like critically reading it. But it's really fun, and I do recommend it if you're picking it up based on, something fun and fast to read. And it is a cliffhanger. It is a 3-part series. I will warn you, I bought the entire series from the author for a Polycon, so I'm gonna have all 3 of those, and I'm so excited. So like I said, I had a really good reading month. I did have 1 book that I haven't finished that will be carried over into my next wrap up for March. And like I said, I hope that this continues and this is a trend going forward, that I love all the books that I read in a month. So with that being said, if you want to be my friend on any other platform, please go down to my description. I have Twitter, Instagram, and Goodreads. I will also add in my newsletter sign up, my website for my author pen name, my Amazon page so you can buy my books if you want, or my Author Central, Goodreads, whatnot. I'm actually trying to combine my Goodreads right now. It's a struggle. I'll get that updated link later when they're both combined. But like I said, if you want to be my friend, all the links are down there. If you've read any of these books or you want to read any of these books, please let me know. I have to go get Phoenix. She's literally taking Dallas's leash across the house. I'll see you next time. Rosie, sweet Rose.